Listen, if your church's social media looks like a digital bulletin board, do not be surprised when no one shows up. And no, it's not because you're being shadow banned. You're just being ignored. And not because the gospel isn't powerful. It's just because you're not posting for people. Again, you are using social media like a digital bulletin board. You're just putting your announcements on there. So listen, the algorithm is not your enemy. It's your strategy that is. Check and see if I'm wrong. Go back through your Facebook feed, and I think what you'll find is you'll have announcements for different events. You'll have hey, come see us this Sunday. You'll have your service times clearly posted. It just looks like one giant calendar. But here's the thing. That's not what people are stopping on. And people are spending hours on social media, but they're stopping on funny reels, personal stories, or maybe they want to engage in some conversations. So that sermon graphic, while you think that it's fire, it's just not causing people to stop scrolling because you have no strategy. You're not posting for engagement. So sure, the graphic might be beautifully designed in Canva or laid out perfectly, and it has probably one of the most impactful scriptures in the Bible. But if you're not asking questions, if you're not providing a real story with that, if you are not in any way starting a conversation, the people that are scrolling through social media, they're not going to start one for you. And listen, I get it. You did not become the pastor or get put in a position of leadership at your church because you were a social media guru. It was because you were good at teaching the word of God. And so this is a whole new territory for a lot of us. And so we default to what we typically have done on a Sunday, right? We post for the announcements and assume that the announcements are what is going to help the people. And therein lies the problem. We've got to stop looking at social media as some sort of digital bulletin board. It is more like your front porch. It's a place for you to stop and engage with people as they're walking by. And if you use it as that, if you focus on conversation starters, that's going to make a world of difference in your social media strategy. And because social media, again, is not about promoting, this, pastor, is where you really shine. Because instead of promoting on social media, what you need to be doing is pastoring. Reframe your win. It's not the number of people that see it. It's not the number of likes that post gets. It's whether or not somebody is actually being discipled. Start thinking of social media as this powerful tool that takes them from Sunday to Sunday. It's the bridge to get them from this message to this message, or this small group to this small group. It's the way that you can interact with them throughout the week. They are, I'm telling you, interacting on social media already. So position yourself in the place that you can do that. Now, discipleship is going to look a whole lot different digitally. What it looks like is in comments and shares. So I want you to think of engagement as your ministry. You are trying again to start that conversation. You want to spark that additional question or maybe get to the root of what's going on. I cannot tell you the number of conversations that I have been blessed with having on social media. And it's because I posted a topic that was a little bit controversial. Somebody responds back. And so I get an opportunity now to engage with them one-on-one. Let me give you a real life example from my TikTok feed. I posted that Christians need to go to church. Now, I know that that's not a super controversial topic. However, for some people it is. And I had a ton of pushback. And one of the pushbacks that I got, one of the commenters said, I don't go to church because people are stupid. Well, I pushed back because this person is a Christian. They didn't say I don't go to church because I don't believe God, right? Their barrier was people are stupid. So I pushed back and I said, I'm really sorry. I think I missed that verse. I do remember the verse where it says that we are to love people. I also remember the verse where love covers a multitude of sins. And I remember the verse that says we'll be known as Christ followers by the love that we show other people. But I did miss the verse that says that we can abstain from church service as long as the people are stupid. That's what I said. Now, does that feel a little bit harsh? Yeah, but I wanted to push back on her initial statement. She comes back and says, okay, listen, I know that there's not a verse that says that, but here's the situation that I'm going through. And so she talked about the different churches in her area and how they visited and da-da-da-da-da. And so I said, look, I get it. And to be fair to you, people do suck sometimes. I suck sometimes. In fact, the very reason that we need Jesus is because We all suck. And so I understand that finding church is really frustrating. And anyway, so we engaged in a deeper conversation. She messaged me out of the blue a few days later and she said, "Hey, I really appreciate you engaging with me online. My husband and I, we tried out a church in our area and we're going back." That's discipleship. You posted a topic, people give a comment, they push back a little bit, and then you get to engage with them. And that's the kind of content that you need to start posting Sunday through Sunday. And listen, there was nothing fancy about it. I pulled up my phone, I propped it on my desk, and I just talked for 30 minutes a minute. And listen, if you are a pastor, it is no problem to look at your phone and talk for 2-3 minutes at a time. And so you don't need a bunch of fancy equipment. You don't need a ton of editing crew. You just need to be real and raw and open. So don't be afraid to show your face on social media. Tell a story, right? Interact with the people that are on there. That's incredibly important. And yes, using tools like Canva to then create additional things and images that go along with it to show that you are intentional in what you're doing. Those are all incredibly important. Having a nice image does help stop the scroll, but it needs to be a nice image, again, with a point of conversation. What is it that you are trying to get them to engage? Ask the question, start the conversation. And then I also want you to train your people. Right? I think we act like we're too holy for this, but no. Train your people. Start with your board. Tell them, if you see a Refuge Christian Church post, like it, share it, comment on it, right? All of those pieces of engagement, they tell the algorithm, hey, this is information that I want to see. And if I want to see it, Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or YouTube Shorts or whoever says, oh, well, if those people want to see it, I bet these other people want to see it too. And so train your people to like, comment, and share, and to get involved in the comments. I have had a lot of the people at our church engage with other people in the comment section, and it's been fantastic to see the discipleship go on that way. So train your people on how to effectively evangelize and outreach through social media. I like to think of social media as just another form of outreach. And look, at the end of the day, your goal is not to impress the strangers. In fact, I promise you, when you start posting like this, you are going to attract people that are not very nice and kind. You just need to love those people the way Jesus did, right? And just let those comments roll off your back. So the goal isn't to impress the strangers, but it is to activate your saints. You do want to get those people moving and going and looking forward to seeing your content as they're scrolling. Here's the good news. You do not need to hire a social media team. You don't need to hire a whole person, right, to do this full time at your church or even part time. And you also don't need to spend hundreds of dollars a month on those ridiculous social media platforms that promise you all of these things like this online digital revival, but don't actually teach you how to engage with your people. Because listen, I have tried it and I have been just as frustrated as you are, which is why I am hosting a workshop. It is for pastors and church leaders just like you. There's no fluff here. There's no gimmicks. We're going to talk about what's working right now for real churches. We're going to cover how to plan your content within 30 minutes. Because we do not have hours to plan our content for the week. We, on a good week, have 30 minutes. So we're gonna talk about how to do that. And how to get your people engaging consistently. That's the key. That's the discipleship element. We're gonna talk about how to do that. And oh my gosh, we're gonna talk about what to post. And this is the hardest thing. And this is also why we're gonna be able to plan it in 30 minutes, because you're gonna have a clear understanding of what to post and what to stop posting, right? Some of that stuff we just need to let die. Plus, there's going to be a live Q&A after the 60-minute workshop, so you can ask as many questions as you need to really make sure that you're able to move forward. So you're going to get a plug-and-play social media tracker that is a Google Sheet that you can share with everybody who's working with you, so it is free and easy to use. You're going to get some Canva templates. So we're going to talk about what elements of that Canva template are going to be important for you to move forward with and what to customize. And again, because we don't have a ton of time, we're going to talk about how to sustain that rhythm. Yes, we're planning the content in 30 minutes, but we also need to make sure that our day-to-day activities or the batching of the content itself isn't going to take hours as well. So that simple rhythm is going to help us with that. And listen, the workshop is $9. That's it. It's less than a McDonald's meal at this point. So come check out the workshop. Again, it is $9. So if you're worried that we're going to require fancy drone footage or a full-time photographer in your services, no. that is not necessary. This is a workshop with real strategy, made for the pastors and church leaders that are actually doing the work. Listen, this is not another subscription that you're not going to use. So you don't need to spend $199 a month for a bunch of pretty graphics that you're not actually going to effectively use. You need a strategy that's going to grow engagement that will thereby grow your church. And that's what I'm teaching for $9 and for 1 hour. So the link is below. Click on the link and I'll see you there.